Why you're not a nomad?
Well, that's one of the things that's been open to discussion during the cruise, actually. What actually constitutes a nomad? Is it someone that has to travel all year round and never has a home, or someone who travels quite a bit? I travel quite a bit.
Meet Palle Bo, a full-time traveler and digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world. At the age of 50, he made a bold decision. He sold everything and set out on a quest to visit every country in the world. This is the Radio Vagabond.
In this episode, we continue the Nomad Cruise from Spain to Greece. I'm still traveling with almost 250 other nomads from 42 countries. And in this one, you'll get to meet a few more of them. And we start where we left off in the latest episode, at my meetup with Austin, Tilo, and Rod. We're here at a sort of a round table and having a round table discussion. Anybody wants to ask something of the other guys?
Yes, as I said before, my name is Austin, and I'm looking to get into this lifestyle. I made a lot of changes, a lot of risk, and I'm trying to find my niche. But what I want to know is, from someone who has done this so many years, do you have any regrets for making this move?
Yeah, well, I guess that one's for you and me, Rod. Mostly for you, because you've been doing it longer than me. So, any regrets on your part?
Absolutely none. They say in life that it's the journey that makes the place, not the end. And that journey teaches you absolutely everything. You get bad times, sad times, good times. Amazing opportunities coming your way if you open yourself up to listen and talk to people. Yeah. And that's been my result all the way through my life, and why I've never had to ever supply a CV to anybody to get a job.
And a question I get all the time is it lonely? I travel alone, but I don't have that problem. Point one, I like my own company, and secondly, I think I'm good at getting out to meet people. But any thoughts on that?
Well, yes. Well, there's one way to, like being on the ship, where you can meet 248 people in 10 days. I mean, that will spring out relationships that will keep for the rest of your life, because you'll bump into those same people again and again. The other thing is, every new city that you go to, you can use certain tools. You can join all the meetups around nomading, or the meetups around language. You can find very quickly that there are internations, which is another great source of things. Facebook. People who are in this lifestyle want to meet other people.
I like to say I have no regrets on doing it. I remember when I was selling all my stuff in my house, and my house was getting more and more empty because they came and took all the furniture. I thought, okay, what am I doing? I was feeling I was getting out of my comfort zone, and I didn't want to go anywhere 2 months before I did. But once I did, it's just grown and grown and grown. In the beginning I said I'm traveling for 2 years, and then it was 4 years and 5 years, and now I'm saying 10, 15 years, or indefinite, really. So yeah, it's absolutely right for me, but maybe not for everybody.
I am going to try it. I'm going to take it on. If it's right for me, that'd be a big relief. If it's not, then I will do something else.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, if I find out that it's not for me, I can always go back.
Traveling will always be for me as well. Whoever got bit by the bug. Traveling is obviously the main purpose of this.
Does any of this makes you want to do it more or less?
So, for me, I would say there's not that much risk involved. When I started, everyone was like, "Oh, that is very proud of you to go to another country." But there's like, what is the worst thing that can happen? I bought a flight ticket, and I have to buy a flight ticket back, and then I can set up pretty much the same thing as before. So there might be some costs, in a sense. If you have some property, you have to sell that, of course. That would be more difficult. But as me, I'm very independent, and therefore there's pretty much no cost, to be honest.
With that remark, what's the worst thing that can happen? And you can always go back. I'd like to say thank you to you guys. Thank you.
Travel is possible at any age. your sense of adventure is just over the horizon. So, reach out and grab it. This is the Radio Vagabond. Gotta keep moving.
Welcome to Menorca.
This is a 9-day cruise from the Spanish beach town of Malaga to Athens in Greece. On our way, we stopped a few times, but our first stop was Menorca. It's one of the islands located in the Mediterranean Sea belonging to Spain. The name comes from Latin Insula Minor, smaller island, that later became Menorca. Its name indicates that this is a small island, and much smaller than the nearby Mallorca. Menorca is home to almost 95,000 people, and its highest point, called El Toro or Monte Toro, is 358 meters, 1,175 feet above sea level. Here I met Judy, who's not born here, but has been living on the island for 37 years.
Yes, that's correct.
How did you end up here?
How did I end up here? I came out here because I met my husband in the UK, and he was from Mallorca, and I didn't like Mallorca. Came to the island to buy a restaurant in 1978, and it's been a fabulous place to bring up my children.
Yeah, but the island is quite small. Don't you
Yes.
get a little bit of island fever?
Yes, by all means. You feel like you're living on a rock. So to be able to get off, it's very easy to go to Barcelona or go back to the UK.
Yeah, but not in the winter time.
In the winter time, I still do go away. That's when we all go away because we all work in the summer.
Yeah.
So we do take our holidays in the winter months, and I usually go back to the UK, or we take our holidays to the Caribbean. Most of the Spanish people go to the Caribbean.
Oh, really?
And the Spanish mainland is beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And there's around 90,000 people.
94.
94. And in the summertime, it doubles, more than doubles.
You get, in the month of August, with the Spanish people coming here from the mainland, you can't even rent a car unless you've done it prior to coming on holiday.
No.
There's nothing. Everywhere's full.
Yeah. But you plan to stay here?
Definitely.
Definitely.
I have a nice life.
Yeah.
I have a nice life.
Yeah.
A nice laid-back life. It's been a fabulous place to bring up my family. In the winter, we don't work, so it's working very hard in the summer to enable yourselves to live in the winter. But it's a beautiful place even without the tourists.
Yeah.
In the winter, you can walk on a beach and not see anybody for miles and miles and miles. So the island is good with tourists because it is the living for us here who live here. But in the winter, we enjoy it also when all the tourists have gone away and we've got our island back to ourselves.
This is the Radio Vagabond, the ultimate destination for armchair travelers who are looking for inspiration to get out into the real world and let loose their wanderlust. Gotta keep moving.
There is so much talent on this Nomad Cruise, and it's become a tradition that we take over the big theater on the ship and have a talent night.
So we walk over to the food area.
On this cruise, there was one doing stand-up.
She's like, "Is it cornflakes?" Yeah. And I'm like, "Where?" She's like, "Is it cornflakes?" And I'm looking, and I'm like, "The Cocoa Krispies?" She's like, "Yeah, cornflakes."
There was one doing magic tricks.
You match them like that, okay? 1, you do it for the next finger, 2, 3, 4, and you come back, okay?
And a few people singing.
Why can't you be everything I need you to be? I need you to see. Whoa, save me. Save me from the emptiness I feel inside.
This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels and guest houses and hostels around the world in one simple search. Hotels25.com.
I need you to see your shame me.
It's day 5 of the Nomad Cruise. I've just got off the cruise ship and now I'm on the island of Malta. This is a country that covers just 122 square miles with a population of just under 450,000 people, making it one of the world's smallest and most densely populated countries in the world. They've got 2 official languages. One of them is Maltese and the other is English. It used to be a part of Great Britain until I think it was 1964 when they got their independence. That means that during the Second World War, this country, only 50 miles of the coast of Italy was a part of Great Britain. And can you imagine Mussolini just 50 miles away and this being a part of Great Britain? Today I'm going on a bus trip. They call it the Best of Malta. And I'm really looking forward to that because, as I said, I don't know much about the island, but I'll find out.
Introduce myself. My name is Nadine, and obviously I'll be joining you during this short trip where we shall be discussing.
You can see pictures, videos, and links and read much more on the RadioVagabond.com. You can also send a few lines to Palabo and get featured on the show. Tell him where you are and what you're doing right now as you're listening to these words. Just click on Contact on the RadioVagabond.com and fill out the form.
Our next stop was the first of 4 in Greece. Here I hooked up with 2 of my new friends, Angus and Scott, and we decided to rent a car and go for a drive in the area.
Yeah, we're going to hire a car to go to...
Then it's very nice. But it's very, very nice.
Okay.
The water is very clear.
Oh, beautiful. Nice. Thank you very much.
Our first stop was Olympia, a small town on the Peloponnese Peninsula, famous for its nearby archaeological site of the same name.
Yeah, straight ahead, and then...
40-50 meters, just kind of call it out as we're going.
Yeah.
There's going to be signs everywhere for Olympia. So what we'll do is we follow signs to Olympia.
It's day 8 of the cruise, and today we're in Greece. The first stop of 4 in Greece, and we're walking around at the Olympia right now. Beautiful ruins, a lot of history right here. This is where a lot of the civilization really began. It was amazing what they were able to do that many years ago. It's among the most important archaeological sites in Greece and was the place where the first ancient Olympic Games took place. The games were held to honor god Zeus and included a series of athletic competitions with representatives of all Greek city-states. It was a great honor for the city-state to give birth to the Olympic winners, whose only prize was an olive branch. We walked around a bit, looking at the ancient stadium, the temples of Zeus and Hera, the palestra and the workshops of Phidias. Then we got back in the car and headed for a small winery. Scott and Angus are 2 guys my age, so we were like the 3 Stooges on tour.
My name's Angus. I'm from Scotland, but I live in Australia, where I have a company that does infrastructure as a service. I've been lucky enough to come on the Nomad Cruise.
But why? You're not a nomad?
Well, that's one of the things that's been open to discussion during the cruise, actually. What actually constitutes a nomad? Is it someone that has to travel all year round and never has a home, or someone who travels quite a bit? I travel quite a bit for holidays and for work, so that's why I classify myself as a nomad.
Yeah. But not location independent. You need to be in Australia a lot of the year.
I don't necessarily need to be. I choose to be. It's been easier in the past, but the more I find about the nomad lifestyle and the opportunities to see and visit around the world while working, the more appeal it's having to me.
How did you end up in Australia? the other side of the planet from Scotland.
I went there for 5 months to play rugby, and ended up staying.
Yeah. Oh. And we're at a winery right now, and just got a glass of their Greek red wine.
That's nice.
And we're overlooking, thank you, the vineyard and the mountains in the background. So Scott, I'm here with a Scotsman called Angus and Angus called Scott. No, a Canadian called Scott.
It's Anglophone from Canada.
Yeah. So tell me your story, Scott.
I'm Scott from Canada, living in Toronto. I'm
one of my favorite cities.
One of my favorite cities too, but I like seeing the rest of the world. I'm lucky enough that I work completely from home, so I am location independent. But because I have a teenage son, I'm still parenting. But he will be off to university in 2 years, and then I can.
That's where I am right now.
I can escape and go anywhere I want. Yeah. But right now I have the freedom and the flexibility. Last year I traveled 13 weeks while working full time. Mm-hmm. So I've got some pretty good flexibility.
Yeah. So why did you decide to go on the Nomad Cruise?
I was just watching random YouTube videos on New Year's Day, and this one came up on the Nomad Cruise. Checked it out. It looked really, really credible, and I booked it within 24 hours.
Oh, cool. What do you think of it so far?
It's a remarkable collection of like-minded travelers. Not like-minded in that we all think the same, but everyone that's on the cruise is at the top of their field. Everyone is open to new ideas and finding new ways and not fitting into the existing boxes. Mm-hmm. And it's remarkable how congenial everyone is on the ship. Mm-hmm. That I would be happy to travel with any one of the 250 people on the cruise for a week without reservation. Yeah. And so it's hard to find 4 people you could travel with, let alone 250 random people that just kind of showed up.
Yeah.
I would be happy to travel with any of them, obviously, with the exception of Scott.
You would not be so lucky.
Actually, damn it, if I didn't, then who would drive?
Oh yeah, he's our driver now. Yeah.
Sure.
Terrible. Yeah.
No, it's just tremendously eye-opening to meet people who've gone off on their own path. A lot of successful people that have just chosen to do their own thing that they believed in, but also that they really enjoy. And that's one of the things that I think comes out of this trip, is that people don't have to force themselves to do work that they may not be happy in, that they can follow their passion. And there are ways that any passion can be made into a living. And not just a living, but one that can be earned while traveling and enjoying the world.
Also, it's remarkable that there are people on the Nomad Cruise are from 42 different countries, ranging from early 20s to old people like us. But
someone even older.
I know.
Can you imagine?
No, I can't actually. I thought they would be in a wheelchair by now. And so it's interesting that from that range of ages and geographies, they're still so much aligned in wanting to redefine how the world works.
Yeah. Are you planning on going on any of the other cruises in the future?
Me, not yet. That would involve forward planning and thinking. Something that I haven't developed yet, even with all the help I've had on this cruise. Yeah. But certainly wouldn't rule it out, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's certainly this cruise was particularly appealing because it wasn't a transatlantic crossing, in that we did have a few sea days, but we also have a lot of ports, so it's still, there's the conference, there's the community of the people, but there's also still sitting at a random winery in Greece having wine. That was not on my agenda a week ago. So it's whereas the transatlantic, where you're at sea for 9 days, it's a much more conference, business focused, plan and build your business kind of thing, as opposed to a vacation.
Yeah, I don't know if there would be conference days every day at sea when it's that long.
We'd have to check, but I think so. I think it ends up being a lot more worky.
I asked Amanda from the winery to tell me a bit about the place.
Our wineries exist here as a professional winery from 2008, so 10 years. And the land, the 100 acres that we have, is belonged to us more than 100 years. My great-great-grandfather came here and started to produce raisins. And this is how everything started. The raisins were it was a product very profitable until the 70s. But then, due to the industries and all of that, the price of them started to fall. And my dad, in the end of 80s, started to replant the old vines with different varieties. And he did wine as a hobby for 25 years. And finally, he decided to do it as a job. And we work all together as a family. We cultivate actually the vines organic. No fertilizer, just the plowing to give nitrogen and vitamins. And for diseases like funguses, we can say, we spray with copper and sulfur. Only that, nothing else. So every week, since the vines start to bloom, we spray until the end of June. So this year, very rare thing happened. The vine started to bloom from the second week of March because we had a very hot winter. We had a few days cold, but not enough. And on February, we had maximum during day 22 degrees. Very hot. And right now, April, we have 30 degrees.
That's a very, 22 is a very good summer day in Denmark.
Yes, I know that. I have heard. And the varieties that we grow so far are 6. Greek, the white Assyrtiko and Malagousia. The red Greek, we call it Agorgitiko.
Okay.
And then we have some that you know already. Shiraz or Syrah, Merlot and Chardonnay. Yeah. And today and 2 days ago, we started to plant 2 new fields that we bought with 3 Greek varieties. We planted more of Malagousia because it's a very aromatic wine and has many flowers, not so many fruits, but more flowers. And then another variety called Avgustiatis, like August, Augustos in Greek, and more Agorgitiko. Because it's a very nice variety for growing in our area and in our microclimate.
How big is it? How many bottles do you produce?
We do 60,000 bottles.
Oh, wow.
We are a boutique winery. A boutique winery, not that big.
For me, that's that's a lot of wine. Yeah.
For Greece and for the big industries, we are a boutique winery. But we have a capacity for producing 150,000 bottles. Every year we grow a little bit. In 2008, when we started, the first quantity was 5,000 bottles. So today we have grown enough. We of course, we sell the wine in Greece in different places, not in supermarkets, in wine stores, hotels, restaurants, because our target is the people that already know for good quality wines. We don't need the people that they don't have culture on the wine. And we export in Russia, Switzerland, and Holland so far.
Okay. And it's obviously it's very close to Olympia, so your Olympia land.
Olympia Land Winery, yes, Olympia Land Estate. This is why we decided the name.
Yeah.
Our last name is not so well known, but Olympia everybody knows.
Exactly.
And the names of the wines, like the wine you drink, the red, we call it Phidias. Like the sculpture, he made the status of Zeus. The rosé, we call it Artemis, like the goddess of hunting. And we decided to give names from our history. And for the Greeks, to learn more about the Greek history, and for the people who come from abroad, to see names from the history of Greece. Who already know, I think so, because the Greek history is well known in all over the world.
As a European, Of course, I've been following all the things that's been going on here in Greece the last couple of years with the economy in trouble. How is it today?
Difficult. And for surviving, you must work very hard, especially if you have a business. If you keep it as a family, you go well. If you have a big business and you have many employers, it's very difficult, very difficult. But so far we go well, and every year we go better. I mean, as a business. As a country, yes and no. With the politicians that we have, it's a little bit difficult to understand.
Still challenges ahead.
And we try to export the wine because in Greece, of course, you sell a lot. And especially the summertime, from May or until October, we sell in the islands. The islands are full of tourists. So it's like a type of an export, we can say. We sell a lot in the islands in the summertime. And if you make small quantity and good product, be sure that you will have a future like this.
Great. I wish you all the best, and I like the wine. Yeah, it's
Thank
good.
you very much.
Have you ever wondered what the places in this podcast actually look like? I have. So I started following the Radio Vagabond on Instagram, simply by searching Radio Vagabond.
As I mentioned before, this was recorded before the pandemic. Right now, obviously, the Nomad cruises are cancelled, like any other cruise. But when things get back to normal, I'm sure there's going to be more. So if you, by listening to this, are thinking of going, drop me a line. I have a way of getting you a discount. You can just fill out the form by going to theradiovagabond.com and click on Contact, or send an email on listener@theradiovagabond.com. And that's all we have time for in this episode, but we'll be back on the good ship Horizon for more on the Nomad Cruise from Spain to Greece. And I'm so looking forward to that.
Next week on the Radio Vagabond.
And by coincidence, we bumped into a few other people who were also on the cruise, and one of them is driving in front of us. Is the other car also? Two cars are driving in front of us. So we're a little bit of a nomad convoy heading to the same spot. Let's see what happens. Back with some other news about the Nomad convoy. Will we make it? Will we eat? Maybe we'll lose each other. Then what? Yeah, you just gotta listen to the next piece.
This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels around the world. Hotels25.com. My name is Palabo, and I gotta keep moving. See ya.
Produced by RadioGuru.co.uk.